You guys have been begging for a creeped out video. So here you go. Hi everybody, my name's King Newsme. A few weeks ago I asked you guys what episode of Creeped Out you guys would like to see me talk about, and you guys voted for Sideshow. For those of you guys that don't know, Creeped Out was a children's anthology horror show that aired on the CBBC but was later moved on to Netflix. It sadly got canceled after only 2 seasons and 23 episodes in total. And today we're going to be taking a look at the 2-part season 1 finale Sideshow. It's actually the only 2-part episode in the whole series, which is very surprising to me because these children anthology horror shows, they really like their 2-parters. This also is different from the rest of the series because this episode is actually based in the 1920s or 30s rather than the late 2010s. It's also a fan favorite for the kind of weird twist at the end, so let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode with our favorite little mysterious kid, the Curious. He's in a room full of mirrors with a jar of colorful little marbles, which he promptly, and for no reason at all,
or even
dumps onto the floor. Come on, buddy, now we have to pick them all up. And as he does this, the narrator asks us, how much do you trust your memories? Are you sure they're real?
Are you willing to bet your life upon them?
Then we cut straight to a close-up of the antagonist for these episodes, Zephaniah, and his honestly really cool magical eye. He runs a traveling circus that for the most part has really young performers, and they all have some pretty strange names. The clowns are named Palooka, Nincom, and Hijinks. There's a strong man named Kid Herc, which, okay, that one kind of makes sense. Then he has 2 high divers named Puck and Gudge. Gudge. That sounds like a substance you'll find in like a sewer or something. I do fuck with Puck though. Puck is my homie. And lastly, Ace, the only normal name here. Ace is our main character and Zephaniah's favorite. And he's an aromarologist, which means he can smell very well. He can smell so well that he can tell people which shoe they're hiding their money in, which he does to this gentleman in the crowd. First, he asks the guy if they've ever met, which of course they always say no. Then he hits them with the Nardwuar questions.
Like, for instance, the fact that you keep your money in your left shoe?
Which he gets right every single time. I don't know what you're thinking. Oh, he just got a little lucky with that one. Well, listen to this. The next lady he talks to, he mentions that he can smell her sadness. How? He says that he can smell sick cat fur on her clothes and also the smell of English ivy.
Have you recently purchased an English ivy plant?
Yes.
That's insane that he called that out. He tells them that the cat must have eaten some of the ivy and now is a little sick.
But don't worry. When you get home, just remove the plant. You'll see she's her old self in no time.
What a saying, everybody. Saving sickly cats from their neglectful owners. He's also so stinking cute. After the show, Ace is watching all the families leave, and as he does this, he keeps getting flashbacks of what we can only assume is his family. But while he was daydreaming, he almost walks out of the boundary of the circus.
Let's keep away from the boundary, shall we?
Everywhere they go, Zephaniah puts up a boundary around the circus so the circus performers are safe, but if they accidentally leave the boundary, well, you'll see what happens later. Zephaniah congratulates Ace on his wonderful performance by giving him his favorite treat, peanut brittle. I mean, it is the 20s, so I guess peanut brittle is probably like the Skittles of the time. I also know it sounds dumb for me to mention that he loves peanut brittle, but I promise it's very important. Later that night, we actually see Ace takes all the rejected pictures from the photo booth in the circus, and he brings them back to his trailer to put them in his secret locker. This is just another example of Ace showing that he really misses being a part of a family, but he doesn't even know who or where they are. But after that, Zephaniah calls everybody in the circus to have a meeting, and along the way, Ace spots these strange flying orbs from outside of the barrier. They all group up to meet a new circus member that Zephaniah calls outcasts. Wow, that must make them feel better. But this is when we meet Indigo. Indigo is played by Catherine Emily Douglas, and she's actually in a lot of stuff, but you guys might have seen her in the show Spooksville, that I'm gonna be talking about soon. Indigo is visibly nervous, but everybody makes it 10 times worse by just immediately asking her all sorts of questions, especially Ace. Ace asks her specific questions about her hometown and how she got there, or what route she took to get to the circus. He does get an answer, but strangely, she has a hard time remembering what the name of her town was.
Hillsville? Wait, no, Hollingsville. It was Hollingsville.
Luckily, another circus member stops Ace from asking too many questions and scaring her away. That night, Ace has some dreams about his family, but he wakes up in a panic. He immediately looks through a sketchbook he has that has all kinds of details about his previous family. He has some very detailed pictures of the house and even some pretty detailed pictures of the family themselves. But as he flips through the journal, somebody calls for help. Indigo got herself lost in the maze of mirrors and she starts to somewhat panic. Luckily for her, Ace has a good sniffer and can find her with ease. It tells her to calm down and just close her eyes so the mirrors don't play tricks on her brain. And he kindly guides her out of the maze. And as they walk back to their trailers, Indigo confesses that she's pretty nervous about tomorrow because she doesn't have any talents. And she's worried now because the clowns told her that she has to perform. And Ace tells her that she must have one or Zephaniah wouldn't have picked her to be in the circus. He says that everyone that came here didn't know that they had a talent, but they found out what it was pretty quickly. I highly doubt Kid Herc didn't know what his talent was before he came here. That dude is huge. Like, come on, the dude is a bear. Ace also mentions that he doesn't really know why they can do what they do, they just seem to do it naturally. And back at his trailer, Ace confesses to Indigo that he doesn't really know where his hometown is either, before Indigo just goes through his stuff. How rude. But it's too late now. She's already seen all the random pictures of the families that he has hanging up in his locker. So he decides to just confess to her why he does this. Now get your tissues because the next line you hear is very sad.
Sometimes I pretend I'm one of them.
It's just so sad, man. He then shows Indigo his sketchbook that has pictures of his real family in it. He says these pictures come from his dreams, which he believes is his true memories. And he believes that Zephaniah gives everybody fake memories to keep them in the circus.
Everything I know is a lie.
This also makes Indigo believe that her memories have been wiped because she had such a hard time remembering her town's name earlier. Indigo also finds a picture that she likes inside of his sketchbooks, so as a thank you, Ace rips it out and gives it to her. Aw, how sweet. Cut to the next day, and it's Indigo's time to find out what her talent is, which she isn't so thrilled about. At first, she gets stage fright, but luckily Zephaniah and Ace give her the confidence to at least go out on stage. She stands there awkwardly for a couple of seconds before grabbing a large metal ring to do some aerial acrobatics, which she isn't so good at. Ace encourages her to try just one more time, and then suddenly she's just the best the world has ever seen at this. Some people take years to get this good, but for her, piece of cake. What is just a metal ring, right? Afterwards, they all hang out backstage, and Indigo confesses that she kind of likes being on stage. But Ace ruins the mood by saying that he's kind of forced to be up there and they can't really leave because of the boundary. We learn that pretty much everybody else believes that Zephaniah sets up this boundary to protect them. But of course, Ace feels like he uses it to keep them inside. Ace somewhat interrogates Puck and Gudge about their previous life and how they got to the circus. And unsurprisingly, they don't remember very much. This sends Ace on somewhat of a rant about the outside world, but they try to calm him down by telling him,
Past is past.
That's right, Ace.
and he only stops when Zephaniah shows up. Zephaniah congratulates Indigo with her good performance, and he gives her her circus name.
Indigo, the Flying Sprite.
The flying sprite? But she kind of rolls around in a ring. Shouldn't it be like Indigo the roly-poly or something? But after that, they decide to all just go ahead and get some sleep, even though it's like 3 p.m. for them. But before she gets too far, Zephaniah stops Indigo and takes a look at the picture that Ace gave her.
I see you've been making new friends.
Good night.
I don't like the way he said that. He's definitely up to something. Cut to later that night, and Ace is drawing a water tower that he's seen in his dreams, when Kid Herc comes up to him and compliments on how realistic it looks, which confuses Ace at first, but Herc thought that he was just drawing the water tower that was peeking through the trees.
This is where I'm from. My real home.
It looks like they've made it back to Ace's hometown, which is great news. So he runs back to his trailer to grab his other sketchbook, but when he gets there, looks like somebody beat him to it.
You truly are an enigma.
Oh no. Finally, Ace just lets it all out. He tells Zephaniah that he knows his memories are fake and he knows that he's trapped inside of this circus and he wants to go home because they're in his hometown. He accuses Zephaniah of taking him from his family and locking him in this cage he calls a circus. But Zephaniah says, "Oh, you're free to roam. You're free to explore," which is a lie because the circle burns him if he tries to walk outside of it. But Zephaniah claims that it's there to keep the bad people out. Yeah, okay, buddy.
You really think that I would steal someone from their own home?
Yeah, actually, I do believe you would do that. Zephaniah tells Ace that he didn't steal him, that Ace came to him because his family rejected him, and that Zephaniah and everybody else in the circus is his real family. But that doesn't work on Ace.
Liar!
So Zephaniah finally gives in and decides to help Ace find his real family. And that's where part 1 ends. Not much happens in this episode, actually. It's just all lore and, introductions. But it is very needed for part 2. We meet all these cool, colorful colorful characters and we see how exactly they fit in with the circus and the vibes. I also don't trust Zephaniah, but I don't have a reason to not to. Yet. Anyways, let's get into part 2. This is when it gets crazy. We start this episode with everyone saying goodbye to Ace as him and Zephaniah drive around town to find his family. We also get a small clip where we see that Zephaniah has more than one magical eye, and each of them do something different, such as fix the barrier around the circus. Zephaniah and Ace ride around for hours looking through different neighborhoods trying to find the one that he sees in his dreams. And just before they give up,
There!
Ace spots the house. He recognizes it from the mailbox, which is a weird way to recognize it. Zephaniah pulls up to the house and makes sure Ace wants to go back. And of course he wants to go back. Who wouldn't? So he grabs his things from the back of the truck and heads into the gate. And he bumps into his mom outside and she doesn't recognize him. I mean, it has been a while and he's probably grown up a little bit. Next, his dad comes around the corner. So he runs to him and gives him a hug, and this is when the mom says,
I think he's confused.
sadly, nobody in his family recognizes him. And after a really long pause for realization, Ace finally just gives up.
Take me home.
It's a very depressing moment for sure, but come on, we all kind of saw that coming. It was just too good to be true. Once Ace gets back to his trailer, he starts angrily ripping all the family photos out of his locker, before bursting into tears. Luckily, Indigo comes in to comfort him. She assures him that his memories and visions had to be real, that something about this whole situation isn't right, and she wants to make sure she can help him. They just need to know where to look for the truth. But sadly, it's just too late, and Ace has lost all hope in going back home. And after she's done comforting Ace, Indigo walks outside to see Zephaniah has been watching them. And if that wasn't creepy enough, he tells her,
Haven't you done enough damage?
implying that she's the reason Ace is depressed now. But this only sets alarms off inside her head.
We just need to know where to look.
The next day during the show, Ace has somewhat lost his touch. He fumbles one of his easiest tricks, he mistakes which guest he was smelling, that's kind of funny to say, and he also just sounds very depressed.
Sorry. That's you, sir.
And he doesn't even get the family member right. It was the dude's daughter, not his wife. But while he's doing this, Indigo is doing somewhat of a heist of her own. Since Zephaniah is distracted by the show, she decided that this is the perfect time to break into his trailer and search for clues to help Ace find his family. So she breaks in through the roof? Wait, why didn't she just use the door? What's wrong with the door? Sure, it might have been like locked, but I think it's a little more inconspicuous than her crawling on the roof of the trailer. She does, however, find his case of eyes, but one is missing.
Looking for this.
Finally, Zephaniah goes full villain and he shows Indigo the eye that erases everybody's memories. He even threatens Indigo.
We wouldn't want the others finding that out, would we?
But she's not scared of some old man, so she flat out tells him that there's nothing he can do to stop her. The only bad thing is, there is. He waves another eye in front of her and suddenly, she can't speak. She can try, but no words or noises come out of her mouth. He basically just hits the mute button on her. And now Zephaniah is going to use her as an example.
Let me show you what happens to traitors.
Zephaniah gathers everybody at the edge of the barrier, and he assures everybody that he really does hate to do this. Yeah, okay, buddy. But he has to set an example. But nobody wants to see what's gonna happen to her, especially Ace. But Zephaniah doesn't care what they want. He is more worried about protecting himself. Before her punishment, Indigo walks up to Ace and gives him back the picture that he drew of the tree, and a final goodbye hug. And then she calmly and very stoically steps outside of the boundary. And she turns into this thing. What is that? I'm gonna say it's a cocoon. It's gonna be a cocoon from now on. Puck and Gudge have to hold Ace back as Zephaniah proudly shows off the cocoon that has Indigo inside of it. He even hangs it off his trailer with about a dozen other cocoons to show everybody that this could be them one day. That night, Ace is hanging out in the mirror maze when he finally opens up the drawing that Indigo gave him. And on the back of the drawing, he finds... It turns out that he really couldn't stop her from telling everybody. The next day, Ace shows the members of the circus that he could trust, but they're all still a little brainwashed and they don't really believe that Zephaniah is a bad guy. So Ace is gonna have to do this alone. That night, Ace sneaks inside Zephaniah's trailer while he's still inside. Very brave of him to do that, especially dropping down from the roof. Again, seriously, what's wrong with the door? Ace quickly finds the small wooden case with all the magical eyes in it, and this time, all of them are there. So he quietly picks it up and... Not the cartoon sneeze, come on. Luckily for Ace, his friends come around and they help him escape. He tries to run as far as he can, but he trips over a basket full of marbles. What is that even doing there? And now he can't even tell which ones are marbles or which ones are the glass eyes. Just had to be marbles, huh? Just had to. And he doesn't have much time either because Zephaniah is on his ass. Right when he does find the correct eye, Zephaniah kicks it out of the barrier, making it impossible for him or anybody else to grab. Zephaniah steps out of the barrier and then blames Ace for what happened to Indigo. And he says that he now has to punish everybody in the circus because of what Ace has done. But Zephaniah forgot one tiny detail. That eye only controls the false memories, but this one controls the barrier. Ace picks up a heavy rock and smashes the eye that holds the barrier, making it disappear. Now Zephaniah is completely exposed and you can kind of tell that he knows he fucked up. Ace runs and grabs the memory eye and quickly gives it to Kid Herc, who promptly crushes it. Man, that dude is strong. He crushes it into dust and then these little orbs start flying everywhere around them. They fly into people and not only does it give them their memories back, it shows us who they really are. Starting with Puck and Gudge, they were so good at diving because they were penguins all along. And Kid Herc was actually so strong because he was a grizzly bear. A very small and poorly green screened grizzly bear, but a grizzly bear nonetheless. Ace and the clowns are understandably very upset at this. They were only used as entertainment to make this man money. But Zephaniah claims that he did it to give them the greatest gift of all.
Gift of the spotlight.
But Ace very quickly sums up why this is all horrible.
That wasn't your choice to make.
And then the clowns turn back into, you guessed it, monkeys. But not any monkeys. Baboons, which are like the meanest monkeys. Yeah, they were like mean to everybody the whole episode, but there were arguably funnier monkeys that they could have used.
For instance, spider monkeys are probably one of the goofier monkeys. They're actually super fun to watch because of how goofy and active and very brave they are. Second up is capuchin monkeys. They are also super adorable and charismatic. They are also very active and also my favorite character in the Night of the Museum movies. Tamarins and marmosets. They are also super adorable and charismatic monkeys. Don't look at my Goosebumps shirt, it's pretty cool, I do agree. They can also have funny little mustaches. That is adorable. They're also super friendly, almost friendly enough to be as pets, but do not have monkeys as a pet or I'll find you and I will shoot you with a gun. And I have an honorable mention to a squirrel monkey. They're very small and cute and adorable and funny and I love them. And I yield my time.
Having baboons is insane. So insane that they take Zephaniah in the woods to probably kill him. I mean, he does plead for mercy.
Where are you taking me? Please, no.
Ace grabs one of the orbs into a jar and then brings it to Indigo's cocoon. He hopes that it brings her back, and after a second of waiting, it doesn't work. Sadly, she's still trapped. But we might have been just a little too impatient. Somehow she gets released from her cocoon. I think it's because the baboons probably ate Zephaniah and released the spell. And turns back into a hummingbird? What do hummingbirds have to do with acrobatics? Am I dumb? I don't understand. What does a hummingbird do? It was Ariel, but she rolled around in a hoop. I don't understand. The next day, Ace walks all the way back to the house that he believed was his family's, with the last orb in his hand. The family is sitting on the porch playing Go Fish when it's revealed that this was Ace's family all along.
Mom, look, it's him. He's back. Come here, Ace. Come here, Ace. Hi.
He was their pet dog, and they've been looking for him for a long time. Him being a dog also explains why he could smell so good and also why he likes peanut brittle. I told you guys it was important. And we end the episode with the curious picking up one of Zephaniah's eyes. As the narrator asks us, do you have any talent? Where did it come from? Was it just luck? Or maybe it came from your true form?
What if, deep down, you too were once an animal?
And that's where the episode ends. Honestly, a top contender for one of the best episodes of Creeped Out, in my opinion. It's not exactly scary. It does have a jump scare though. And Zephaniah is kind of a creepy dude. He does have an eerie vibe to him. But the glass eyes kind of give him some cool points, so I'll forgive him for that. Powerful eyes are usually not used in live action TV shows. They are used a lot in anime though. He has about 12 eyes, but we only get to see the power of 3 of them, so let me know in the comments below what you think these other eyes possibly do. But this episode does have a pretty decent twist. It's obviously been done before, even in Goosebumps. But the first time I watched it, I didn't think they were animals at all until the end. I thought that possibly Zephaniah stole the kids and then wiped the family and the kids' minds so none of them know who each other are, which is honestly equally as insane as them being animals. And I think that most of this episode looks really good, but sadly the terribly green screened animals kind of ruin it towards the end of it. Just look at this guy. But I really do enjoy the story of this episode. I thought Ace was a super lovable kid. He definitely gives off golden retriever energy. All the other characters are very likable and nice, including Indigo. And the dude that played Zephaniah kind of killed it. He is just creepy the whole time. Even when you have no reason to not trust him, you still don't trust him a little bit. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comments below. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get some bonus content, plus videos a day early and maybe some pictures of my cats. Also your name right here on screen. Like the video if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I love you all and peace.